deeply. Thank you for giving my life to me.
Being 14 and discovering anime is honestly a magical experience. When I was that young, the first handful of series I ever watched left a profound impact on me. But even with the immense impact my first handful of shows had on me, I was still just a child. Now, as a 26-year-old, I want to revisit all of the anime series I watched in my early teenage years, and try to reevaluate them as an adult. What aspects are deeper than I realized? What aspects don't hold up as much? And will I still love these shows over a decade later? Last time I embarked on this journey, I rewatched Clannad, my first ever anime, and I came away from it absolutely astonished. Today, I'm going to rewatch my second ever anime, Angel Beats, and try to give it the same treatment. If that sounds like a good time, then please remember to like and subscribe. And of course, there will be spoilers ahead for Angel Beats. In order to try and maintain the same circumstances from my childhood, I began this rewatch with the English dub. As a kid, that was the only way I wanted to watch anime, and even now, that is still my preferred method. But upon starting this show again, I found the English dub to be real rough in the beginning.
Hey, what's going on? Listen, there are these kids up there trying to take a shot at you. They think you're some kind of angel.
Fortunately, it does get better as the episodes go on, so I got through the whole show dubbed with no issues after this first episode. Although, to be honest, I think the sub is probably better on this anime. At the very least, I prefer its translations a bit more, but that's kind of a personal preference. The basic premise of Angel Beats is set up relatively quickly in the first episode. Everyone is dead. The high school campus these characters are stuck in is some sort of afterlife, meaning anyone who finds themselves here is unable to die again. The only way to leave this world is to pass on from it towards the true final afterlife, whatever that may be. The residents of this world refer to this phenomenon by two names: disappearing or being obliterated. Speaking of this world's residents, we should probably meet some. Our point of view character for this story is Otonashi, a new arrival to the afterlife with a crippling case of amnesia. He immediately meets Yui, the leader of a group called Battlefront, who have a strong anti-establishment mentality. The establishment they're fighting against is none other than God. Instead of finding peace and allowing themselves to fully pass on to the afterlife, which seems to be the purpose of this high school, they've instead decided to make this world their home and live here forever. There's just one teeny tiny little problem with that plan. Angel. Angel is a mysterious entity. Yuri's Battlefront of rebellious teens don't really know much about her. She's someone, or something, that exists to push the people who arrive here to pass on. Since Yuri's goal is to stay here forever, she and Angel aren't on the best of terms. I really like the premise set up in this first episode. Watching this awkward group of young adults defying the natural order and stubbornly refusing to accept death is very compelling to me. The interactions between these people really is the heart and soul of this series. And it all starts here, with an episode 1 that's honestly pretty damn awesome. I'm excited to keep watching and learning what things about this series stuck with me, and what things are going to be a pleasant surprise all over again. One such surprise is the comedy in this show. Angel Beats is absolutely filled with this gallows humor. These kinds of jokes were not something I thought I wanted in this show, but after seeing them, I realized it would have been a total waste of the setting to not include them.
Kind of impressive that a noob like you has made it this far.
I guess.
Oh, you'll be the next to go.
I didn't know the poor bastard couldn't swim.
The comedic attitude characters have towards death in this world is present throughout the whole show. But comedy isn't the only tone Angel Beats is a master of. As the series continues, we learn more about the members of Battlefront, and the horrible, unfulfilling lives they led before arriving here. Angel Beats isn't going to waste time gently easing us into these stories either. The most horrible and brutal backstory in the show is the first one we learn about. The backstory in question belongs to none other than Yuri, Battlefront's leader. She tells Otonashi, and by extension tells us, about the defining moment of her life. She and her younger siblings were attacked by home invaders looking for money, jewels, anything of value. Since she was the oldest, the invaders forced Yuri to bring them what they were looking for, with the promise that if she couldn't, they would punish her in the cruelest way they could imagine. She was unable to meet their demands.
The police came 30 minutes later. I was the only one still alive.
This experience is the reason why Yuri is so damn insistent on refusing to accept death. Her life was too cruel for her to be okay with passing on, too awful for her to feel at peace. Understandably, she is filled with hatred of God, and a desire to defy him by shunning the afterlife. This is a super important piece of early characterization the show provides us with. It doesn't just characterize Yuri, it characterizes every single member of Battlefront, whose time alive was akin to Yuri's. Everyone here shares the same burning desire to refuse death, to defy God.
They were given such unfair lives. So they're fighting back.
It's the mentality shared by all who live here. And it is a mentality that is challenged in the very next episode. Episode 3 explores another character, Iwasawa, and uses her story to shed a different type of light on life and death. Here in the afterlife, she's the lead of a rock band that primarily exists as a distraction while the rest of Battlefront is fighting Angel. Before coming here though, her life was defined by a horrible home environment. Rather than succumbing to despair, she discovered the beauty in life by listening to music. Iwasawa's love of music caused her to become a budding musician and vocalist herself, with the hope that she could spread the very same joy she felt with music to others in the world who desperately needed to hear it. Tragically, she died before ever getting the chance to take off. But here, in this precursor to the great beyond, Iwasawa can sing to her heart's content and touch others with her music. Here, she can do what she was never granted the chance to do while alive. At the end of episode 3, we see the culmination of that chance.
I want to save someone, just as I was saved. I finally found it.
This episode provides us with an exact opposite philosophy we were shown in the last episode, where Yuri and most of Battlefront are overwhelmed with the unfairness of their lives. Iwasawa was able to transcend these negative emotions. She realized that letting go and finding peace is so much better than wallowing in angry resentment.
She accepted her fate. That's all there is to it.
If I remember correctly, the entire show is about following these characters on a journey from bitter resentment to eventually finding their eternal peace. I think every episode from here on out has another character learning to accept death and pass on, leaving this world behind for an even better one. And their journeys of passing to the great beyond are reflected in one of the most visually poetic ways I've ever seen, with subtle changes in the intro and outro of every episode. I love the intro to Angel Beats. This song is beautiful, the animation is beautiful, and the framing device of Angel playing the piano is beautiful. Part of each intro is a showcase of all the characters we've met, fighting the good fight against death. But as these characters learn to accept death instead, they disappear from the intro as well. Hell, they even disappear from the outro. It's a reminder that these characters are no longer here, but I don't think it's supposed to be a tragic feeling. I think we're supposed to reflect on their absence as a positive. This is a very simple creative choice, but I find it wonderfully effective. A choice that's a whole hell of a lot less simple, and still incredibly awesome, is having this alternate opening for episode 4. This OP is partially diegetic. It's supposed to represent the audition of a new potential lead singer for Iwasawa's rock band, since she's no longer here. There's new animation, a new version of the song, and it goes unbelievably hard for an intro that's never used again. So who is the in-universe mastermind behind this incredible cover? Well, that would be Yui, a character I absolutely love.
There's no way we stand a chance against you.
Prepare to get your butts cleaned!
It might be a controversial opinion, but I think she is downright hilarious and fits in so well with the rest of the cast. She gets a ton of time to shine in episode 4, an episode that revolves around Otonashi and his close friend Hinata trying to assemble a baseball team for reasons that don't really matter. What does matter is the attention given to the character interactions in this episode. The most important of these interactions are focused directly around Hinata. He has a lot of very serious conversations with Otonashi about his regrets in life and why he's refusing to pass on. By comparison, his conversations with Yui are fucking bananas.
If a ball hit you dead in the face, the pitcher would get disqualified. You're a big hitter! Perfect, you're in!
I touched slightly on this show's humor before, but it begs further praise. This show has a phenomenal sense of timing and a very good grasp of absurdist humor.
Ever since that day, I keep running it over and over in my head how I could have lost to that newbie. Ever since that day, I've been balancing this stupid broom on the tip of my finger.
She's a moron.
Yeah, but she's a powerful moron.
I do not remember this show being this funny, or really having any jokes at all. I remember Angel Beats as a much more dramatic and melancholy experience. I kind of thought the whole show was like the scene of Iwasawa's disappearance, and that the whole tone would be similar to that. Surely a tonal shift must be coming, because I can't imagine I misremembered the show this badly. Right? Well, if a tonal shift is coming, it's not going to be anytime soon. The next several episodes double down on the comedy and really focus on battle shonen-esque plots. Remember when I said that I thought each episode would be a send-off to another character accepting death? Yeah, turns out my memory sucks ass. That's not what happens at all. Instead, every episode has a new one-off problem that gets resolved by the time credits roll. Luckily, these episodes aren't completely devoid of merit, though. This chunk of the story focuses a lot of attention into finally characterizing Angel and letting her interact in meaningful ways with the rest of the cast, particularly with Otonashi.
Actually, I don't know your name either. What is it?
Who, me? I'm Tachibana.
First name?
My first name? It's Kanade.
Kanade Tachibana. Nice to meet you.
I love Angel's voice. The monotone, robotic way it sounds serves her character and her role in the story so well. For a while, that role is to simply be an obstacle to overcome. She's given very little attention or characterization in the beginning. But even during this period of antagonism, Otonashi's disposition towards Angel is much warmer than anyone else's.
So, I was wondering if you'd let me treat you to a bite?
What's keeping you?
The 1-2 punch of being both a new arrival and an amnesiac makes him perfectly positioned to question the status quo of this world. Without Otonashi, we would have never learned anything about Angel, or Kanade, as a person. And I do mean person.
Angel is human. What type of angel would eat mabo tofu to help cheer her up when she's down?
Finding out that Kanade is in fact not a construct made by God, but is just another human like everyone else, raises a lot of questions. Why is she putting so much effort into stopping Battlefront? Why hasn't she passed on yet? What happened in her life to bring her here in the first place? We don't get to learn that much about her history yet, but what we do get are some insights into the kind of person she is.
Version 4. I tried to make it look like a flower. Do you think it's cute and lifelike?
And it's all thanks to Otonashi's efforts. As we come to learn, he is a very kind person all around. He's constantly concerned with the well-being of others. His kindness is what bridged the gap to Kanade, after all. And in episode 9, we finally learn exactly why Otonashi is the way that he is. I remember the plot of this episode very well. This is the episode where Otonashi finally overcomes his amnesia, and we learn all of his backstory. What I didn't remember is how emotionally devastating it was. While alive, Otonashi was training to become a doctor, a desire that ignited inside of him after the death of his little sister. He realized that by being a doctor, he could help people, save people. He could give his life meaning by protecting the lives of others. But as is the case for everyone in this post-mortem high school, he died young and never achieved his goals. His cause of death was a train crash. But Otonashi didn't die in the crash itself. That would have been far too merciful. Instead, he and the other passengers found themselves trapped in a collapsed tunnel. It's here in this nightmarish tomb that Otonashi would slowly starve, dehydrate, and succumb to his injuries for 7 days before leaving the earthly plane and waking up in the undying high school. Unlike everyone else in that undying world, though, Otonashi actually did find peace in his last moments alive. The whole time he was trapped underground with this group of unlucky souls, he dedicated all of his energy to help them hold on to their life, at the cost of his own.
That brat just wasted our precious water!
That's okay. That was my fair share. I won't drink from here out, so don't worry.
He never gave up his desire to protect others. I think he's a truly exceptional person to have this much strength in the face of certain death. All of his efforts culminates with one of the most beautiful moments I've ever had the pleasure of seeing in any piece of media.
What's that?
If you sign this, even if by some reason you die, your life can be used to help another.
With death mere moments away, Otonashi uses what little strength he has left to officially become an organ donor. Even in death, he can still save a life. Even in death, his life can still have meaning. This act inspires everyone who is stuck here to do that exact same thing. Thanks to Otonashi, they all realize that they can all give their final moments a sense of purpose.
They were in the pit of despair, but now they're trying to give hope to others. You saved every one of our lives, Otonashi. We owe you.
Stories about defiantly clutching onto hope in the face of abject hopelessness is a narrative element I can never not love. This episode hit me really hard. Otonashi's flood of memories has given him a newfound purpose in the afterlife. He's realized that coming to terms with death and finding peace is a wonderful thing. It's the very same realization that Iwasawa came to all the way back in episode 3. Now Otonashi has a desire to help Yuri, Hinata, and everyone else find the everlasting peace that they're so hesitant to accept. With Kanade's help, Otonashi sets out to give direction to the final act of Angel Beats. I'm so excited to see how things play out. The first character Otonashi and Kanade try to help is Yui. She's already such a cheerful person that Otonashi figures.
I think she's probably at peace by now. She just needs a little push.
And he's kind of right. Yui was paralyzed in life and could do nothing but watch TV. So a lot of her desires now revolve around the physical acts she saw while bedridden. Mostly things related to sports. But these are all minor goals of hers. Her true greatest desire is to get married. A desire that Hinata would be more than happy to fulfill.
Even if you couldn't stand and walk, even if you couldn't have kids, even so, I'd still marry you.
With the few short scenes they have together, I do believe that Yui and Hinata have gotten close in an awkward, immature, teenage kind of way. But we didn't really get to see their relationship grow. If Angel Beats has a fatal flaw, it's being too fast-paced to give time to its characters. Had Yui and Hinata been granted the time to develop together, this scene would have absolutely devastated me. And I know that for a fact, because the short version we did get was still enough to emotionally move me.
Even though it's a 1 in 6 billion chance we'd meet, even if you were already paralyzed when we met, I'd marry you, and I'd make you the happiest woman alive.
Hinata's words are so romantic. This entire scene is jam-packed with him pouring his heart out to Yui, and it's just wonderful to watch. Romance probably is my favorite genre of anime, so this shit works wonders for me. But romantic talk aside, the aspect of the scene that affected me so strongly is the, I suppose, what could have been montage of Yui and Hinata living their real lives together. These kinds of scenes always make me emotional, but this one in particular I think has extra meaning. Because this isn't a musing on what could have been, but is in a way a depiction of what actually was. Both Yui and Hinata have been granted a second chance of life, here, in this world. Here, they did meet each other. Here, they did spend time together. And here, they did fall in love together. They may not have met while alive, but the graciousness provided by this afterlife ensured that these two soulmates could still find each other before passing on through the great beyond. Even if the execution was rushed and a little unsatisfying, the idea behind this story is absolutely beautiful. This was one of the scenes I remembered the most from my first viewing. And upon this rewatch, it's not hard to see why. I would love it if the show maintained this direction for its final few episodes, but unfortunately, it doesn't. Rather than telling more stories like Yui's, where each character gets to find peace and move on, Angel Beats instead introduces another new threat to fill these last few episodes with more danger, intrigue, and action, as well as some more world building, which is fine, I guess, but it's not really what I care about 12 episodes into this story about finding peace in the afterlife. At the very least, this new threat acts as the catalyst, which convinces the Battlefront that it's probably time for all of them to finally move on.
For a short while, we got to enjoy the youth we never had. I think our time here will have been worth it if we were just supposed to have fun.
For as rocky and rushed as some of these decisions were, the final episode of Angel Beats still manages to be a phenomenal finale. Characters saying their final goodbyes to each other is something that always manages to hurt me, and I think it's especially painful in this story. These characters all helped each other to grow, to learn, to live. Not just Otonashi, but Yuri, Hinata, Kanade, and everyone else helped to give each other the lives they always longed for. The graduation ceremony gives them the time to not only express their gratitude, but also their love for the time they all spent together. They all had such a long journey. A journey filled with struggle, heartache, and despair, but at times also filled with joy, laughter, and hope. Here, at the end of their journey, they deserve nothing less than eternal peace. Seeing them happily accept it just makes me want to cry.
Leader, your work here is done.
Well, hope we meet again someday.
This is something I've wanted to talk about since the very beginning of this story, but there wasn't an appropriate time to bring it up until now. I love the way the show depicts people passing on. There's no bright light, no rapturous sounds, no fanfare. They are simply here, and then they aren't. We don't even see them vanish. They always disappear off-screen. Rather than this simplicity making the moment duller, I think it greatly enhances it. With no distractions during these moments, you are forced to intimately confront the fact that these characters have moved on. They were here, and now they're gone. I can't possibly imagine a better way to show someone passing on. Every time it happens, I swear I'm seconds away from crying. This takes us to the final scene. One last conversation between Kanade and Otonashi.
My life was extended because of the beautiful, kind heart you gave me.
If you recall, Otonashi's final act in life was to become an organ donor, so that his life could still be meaningful to someone in need. What a beautiful surprise it is that someone was Kanade, who was able to live out her youth thanks to Otonashi's kindness. Her only regret in life, the reason why she's here in this world, was because she couldn't thank the donor for the gift he granted her. It must be some kind of divine intervention that they were able to find each other again in this afterlife. Now Kanade can finally say thank you and find peace in death.
Please let me believe in everything you believed in. Let me believe that life is worth living.
I always loved this scene. I remember it so clearly from my first viewing. So much of the reason is because of Kanade's voice. Throughout the entire show, she's been so robotic and monotone, lacking any notable feeling. But here, for the first and only time in the series, we can hear raw emotion in her voice.
Let's stay together forever.
Yes. Thank you, Yuzuru.
Although I can't really find the words to describe why, Kanade's voice changing for this scene, and only this scene, feels so incredibly romantic to me. These two characters have fallen in love, but unlike the case with Yui and Hinata, we got to spend so much more time watching Kanade and Otonashi grow closer. You want them to stay together, but they can't. Just like everyone else, they too have to accept death and pass on. For how devastating their final farewell is, I know in my heart that it's for the best, and it's more bittersweet than anything else, no matter how much it hurts.
Truly and deeply, thank you for giving my life to me.
This is a wonderful scene, and it makes me so happy that Angel Beats got to end on such a strong note. Overall, this show has, I wouldn't necessarily say flaws, but it has things that I'm not a very big fan of. I don't usually enjoy the action shonen genre of anime, and a lot of Angel Beats leans into that really hard. And I think that's such a shame, because the emotional core of this show is so strong. It doesn't need the combat or action elements almost at all beyond maybe the first couple episodes. I wish this story could have been more about the human side of this conflict, about the struggle to accept death and question the kindness of God, before ultimately realizing his graciousness at the chance to live again, and finding eternal peace because of it. I'm just such a human drama fiend. Despite its shortcomings, I think Angel Beats absolutely still holds up, and I'm so glad I decided to rewatch it. After my first viewing, I placed Angel Beats at an 8 on my anime list. And yeah, I think that still is about the right place for it to be. Now that I've rewatched my first 2 childhood animes, it would only make sense to watch my third in the next video. But the next anime I watched after Clannad and Angel Beats was The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and I don't remember that anime being very interesting to me. I just feel like I wouldn't gain very much from a rewatch of it, but maybe I'm wrong and it does have a lot to offer. My fourth ever anime, however, is one I remember very well and very fondly. I'm super curious to see if this anime still holds up to me as an adult. That anime is Death Note. So I'm actually going to leave it up to you, the viewers, to decide which anime I should watch next. In the description, I've linked a community poll so you can vote on what I should tackle first. Make sure to vote on that and tell me why you think so in the comments. You can also subscribe to me and leave a like, or even better, try watching another one of my anime videos. I'll just leave a playlist here on the end card, so you can go through everything I've made so far. No matter what you choose to do, thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to stay positive, and have a wonderful day, everyone.